Hello, and welcome to episode 1 of this new series here on the channel. It's slightly later than expected because of some technical difficulties. When I say yes, that would perhaps be more accurate. One of the files got corrupted, and then the second time round I came to record it, I just forgot to hit the record button. So here we are at the third attempt. As you can see, we have made a little bit of progress in the recording that didn't really work out. So we'll sort of just go through what we've done and then probably sim about a month's in game and just sort of try to continue to stabilise the economy. As you can probably hear already, Dan, as always, has joined me for this one. Before he heads off to be to star in a Wild West movie or whatever he's doing this evening.
Okay. I see. Yes, that will be entertaining, but of course, priorities first. We can't forget economics.
Of course.
That takes priority.
Double checking the recording's working. So, as you can see here, our popularity. I'll make sure. The game is paused. So our popularity has taken a slight hit. And as you can see here, we have got a bit of an approval for our gay rights because we've approved same-sex marriage, but that's not necessarily... that was your idea. I think that's the idea of 99% of people. Maybe not quite that much, but 100% of normal people, shall we put it that way?
No, not American.
I think we should probably leave that stone unturned. So... As you can see here, we have some international meetings. We've conducted some already with the US and Germany. So basically what we did is we sold what the UK is very specialised in, so housing and construction work and all that. And as you can see, we've made some progress. Now, if you've watched our sort of introductory video, you would have seen that these figures would have looked a fair bit worse than they currently do. So growth, just for a recap for those that haven't watched it, was at negative 0.2% when we started the game, and it's currently positive. I mean, it's still a very, it's a marginal figure.
Right.
It's slight growth. We really want this to be a little bit higher, well, quite considerably higher in percentage terms, but this is what we've done so far. Unemployment, we haven't really made a huge dent into it, but we will perhaps focus on that in this episode, sort of trying to get that unemployment back down to the Naira. I'm sure Dan will explain later on what the Naira is for those who are unsure.
I can't wait.
I'll just bring it on you to test you. Inflation, as you can see, has dropped, which is not necessarily a bad thing as long as it's between 1% and 3%. This is okay. We don't want it too low though because it's indicative of sort of an economy that's stagnant. And then we've got a national deficit which was dropped from about 7.3% to 5%. So these figures in general are going in the right direction. We'll have another look at GDP per head later on, but perhaps that will be in the next episode of this series. For now, we'll focus on the unemployment. Any changes to the GDP per head will sort of be a byproduct of anything we do to influence unemployment. Although we always have to consider it because we have to look at a wider perspective of macro. You can't change one thing expecting it won't have a knock-on effect in other indicators. So, Dan, where should we start besides perhaps dealing with these two fine gentlemen over here?
So we want unemployment as our focus stakes. We've made a little bit of a dent in the deficit, realistically. I mean, we can't really make a huge another cut for about a month or so because otherwise we're going to get booted out. So we've got that deficit down, I believe. So that's down to. It was around let's have a look at it quick. What's our projection?
Projection, sorry. Yes, that would be in budget.
Yeah, so that was down from 7%, wasn't it? Yeah, so that's good. We've made a bit of a dent. We've made a percent off already, so that's pretty good. Budget deficit's at 5%, and with the growth now, that's going to come down, so that's good. Right, let's work on our war with unemployment.
Yeah.
So, monetary policy we know is out of the picture. We can't do that. That's not going to work. We can't subsidise things because, well, one, we'll get kicked out of the WTO. It seems protectionist and anti-trade, but also we haven't got the money. And it's probably going to be quite inefficient in an economy like the UK, to be honest with you, subsidising heavy industry where it's not efficient or profitable. So the other route we can go down is through the job agency. That's one potential way of just literally getting down the actual that actually could push down on Naira altogether. But really, we want to be exporting. That's the big way we're going to get employment down. That's the way we're going to make the big dent. So we agreed a few trade contracts, but it might be worth maybe building a few more. Some extra things we can do that are relatively expensive are building new things like houses and roads. They are quite expensive, but not as much as, for example, subsidising. Or we could also just employ more people directly through the government. They're the three main avenues we can go down, as well as, of course, as I say, we're looking at potentially changing how efficient our recruitment agencies. So if we go to the work or jobs tab, I believe it's the next one along. Yeah. So if we can see it's an employment agency, so upping that will actually decrease unemployment, of course, because that will open up more job opportunities to people and make it more efficient. And it's not too bad at the moment, but we can get maybe a couple of them stars up for young people employment agency. We could actually see that unemployment rate tick down, because we really care about youth unemployment in particular. So how much would that cost? So 693 million there. What about the employment agency? How much would that cost? Upping that star.
Quite a bit more.
Okay, that's expensive.
Yeah, about
that with along with the, so rather than possibly doing that, we can potentially, I think we can swing by upping the employment for young people by a star. That's not going to have a huge impact, but it will take a little bit of a hint. It's not too much money, that's all right. Considering we made about 10 billion there, we're not reversing anything, so I think we can go ahead with that. That will increase our popularity a little bit as well.
Yeah, of course. So, this might just as a sort of quick point. Sorry to interrupt you, but. Sure. Obviously, this could impact employment for seniors because you're obviously pushing for young people. But we as a general rule of thumb, we want young people in the workforce to sort of give them the skills at the moment, especially at this time. I think in 2013, the UK was suffering quite badly with youth unemployment. So it
still is.
It still is. It's an ongoing issue that the Conservative government sort of needs to crack on with dealing post-COVID. Or I shouldn't say that for well, this video is not going to get monetized anyway, but the situation, I should say, I'll probably have to cut that out in the edit. But yes, we've done that. I'll quickly play the
let's simulate. We'll leave it playing whilst we're thinking. So we're not going too fast. So that should increase our popularity by a tiny bit. Let's sort out these lenders.
Right.
Do we know what the interest rate is for them? So if we offer them the draft campaign, you can go straight to the negotiate tab. You don't need to check.
Sure.
I love your country. Oh, by the way, in future, don't offer them copy.
What kind of offer do you wish to make us?
Let's go down to 4.2. I reckon that will be acceptable.
What is it currently?
4.7 it was. Let's get down to 4.2. 0.5%. That's reasonable.
Very well.
Suggest that.
We accept your offer.
Fantastic. Now you can piss off.
Lovely.
Let's do the other one as well. Oh, it's the president of Mexico. So, the other things we can do, like I say, are infrastructure projects, employing more people through literally manpower in the UK, or we can export. So, did we sign any big export contracts?
We did with the US and Germany.
Yes. So that's going to actually unemployment will start to come down a little bit gradually anyway because of that. Yeah. But we can maybe give it a bit of a boost. So, let's see if there's any room in the coffers for some infrastructure. Could we? Well, what would we want to recruit if we're looking at civil servants? I mean, we won't take it by a huge amount, but it might make a tiny dent. What would you say we'd rather pay? Rather employ more police officers, healthcare, or who else? We've got Secret Service. That's going to make a huge dent. Research. I mean, we could split it, couldn't we? Teachers. Always need more teachers and medical staff. We could employ 10,000 of them each, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, just as a. I think I'm sure you'll cover this when you do your political videos, but obviously, if we're taking into account this popularity thing as well as the economics, education and health are the two big ones. Police force maybe a third. We don't really want to touch the army or the administration right now. So I totally agree that we have a look at what would this do. This would cost about 900 million.
So let's not increase the salaries. That isn't going to do anything. Let's increase the actual manpower, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. If we go to the education tab, because the salaries will just increase our expenses, we won't have any real interest on that. But education is more further along. One more.
Oh, there we are.
There we go.
Found it.
Yeah.
Actually.
So we can maybe put 20,000 teachers on there. See how much that would take. How much would say 20,000 teachers do?
About 400 million, which is a decent amount.
That's okay. Yeah, we can do that. So, we're going to take a little bit of money off the money we saved, but it's progress, isn't it? And then maybe we can do the same for healthcare, and that's 40,000, and that's quite a big. That's considering the total labour force. That's going to make a little bit of a dent. That's not too bad.
Yeah, let's have a look. I mean, everyone's loving this, but our
popularity is through the roof now. Look at us.
Okay, only 20 million for an extra
That's 1,000.
2,000. Let's have a look.
Let's increase it by, say, 10,000, see what that, or 20,000 even, yeah.
We'll do 100. We're up to 100,000 as a round number.
Okay, yeah, that'll do. That's not too bad.
Yep.
Cool. Right, so we've done that now. Let's see. Let's simulate a little bit while. Let's simulate maybe till February. Let's let the export contracts, the young people things, and also the recruitment take effect. Let's see what that has maybe in a month's time on our employment.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the key stats around February.
Yeah, I mean these things take a little bit of time. They're not going to be instant. You're not going to see a massive boost straight away. The trouble in the UK is unemployment is it's quite a pushy thing. I mean, in the UK particularly. I mean, it was much easier in real life because arguably the UK was on a sort of a W or U V-shaped recovery because it was performing below it. So that was why unemployment naturally went back up without too much government intervention. But here we're going to have to work a bit harder. What do they want here? Gold. We want to buy gold. No, we don't want to buy gold off them. Get out of it.
We'll see whether we can sell anything.
See if we can sell anything. I mean, it's Mexico, so it's not going to be have a particularly high price, but we can give it a go, I guess.
Yeah, there's still a big enough economy, I think, to
warrant. Yeah, there's a market.
Well, let's have a look.
They might do do badly, something like maybe like electronics or something like that, or.
That's not bad try, actually. Yeah,
electrical components. Or consumer electronics. There we go. Or consumer electronics. That might be quite a good one. We're good at.
Yeah.
Because the actual raw stuff they're going to be good at. It'll be the more processed goods that perhaps they're not as good at. So what are they there? Not too bad actually. Okay. What about what's further up? Computer hardware. What about that? They might be quite good at that as well. Think about it actually. Yeah. Stubborn. We do have oil.
Mexico has a load of oil though.
Yeah, that's something. Well, building and housing construction, even though to be honest with you, they're going to be better than us. Oh.
No, not all time. I forgot Ford has bases in Mexico actually.
Yeah. I don't think Mexico's going to be a big one, to be honest with you. I think they're quite a big exporter already. So I reckon we can actually get more of our building and housing construction out there. I think that's going to be what grows the economy more. We're making short one-term deals. We're not selling too much of the industry off at once.
We haven't got a trade deal with Japan, do we?
I don't think we do. We could go back to the US as well, but Japan's a good option. They pay a good price.
Yeah, I will zoom out and go over to Japan.
Shinzo Abe, I believe, was in charge at this point.
Yeah. I'm not too sure about Japanese politics, to be honest. I need to rush up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right, diplomacy, meeting request. Right. We've got a summit with the EU. That will be for the Stability Pact, which we're going to have to be wary of because we don't want to get kicked out of the EU for obvious reasons.
No, we want to get that up as much as we can, even though for the EU it's not a great thing. For us, it's fantastic. What does John Bercow want? Yeah, well done. We passed our first bill. Fantastic.
Okay. Oh, China's another. Actually, let's get a deal with China as well.
Oh, I don't think they'll even meet with you, will they? Oof.
Yeah, it's worth a try.
Yeah. President. They really give him that title.
I'll put it on play because there's probably going to be a lot of stuff incoming soon, so I'll just put it on low speed. No doubt. But yeah, so we'll sort of.
He cancelled the meeting.
Review everything. It's February now, so we'll keep it playing. I'll just have a look at the key stats.
Yeah, we've only had about 10 days, so there we go. Oh, look at that. Unemployment is moving in the right direction already. Fantastic.
Look at that.
Look at that.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's going up. That's the main thing. I mean, we've made a 0.18% gap, hole in 10 days. That's not bad.
It's another thing we should actually point out, actually, that the deficit. You can reduce it not only through, obviously, cuts, but if you have more people employed and obviously paying taxes, then you're getting more tax revenue, and this is another way to reduce your deficit.
Economic growth does literally pay, quite literally.
Exactly.
So, can we make any further dents? Because I feel like the impact we've had is good, but it isn't going to be groundbreaking. We need that meeting in Japan, so we've got to wait for that, I guess.
I think
in relatively expensive ways. Is there any?
What are you thinking of saving money or spending money?
We could save some more, to be honest with you, because we want to get that deficit down a bit more, don't we, really? For the Stability Pact meeting.
I mean, although I personally don't agree with it, you probably would have to reduce spending in something like non-essential, so like heritage and all that.
Yeah, we do spend a lot more if you look there than other countries' percentage GDP, so there's a bit of leeway. What can we cut? We need to make a bit of a hole, though. We need to make a few billion up, realistically.
And we're not going to find that because the whole ministry budget, as you can see here, is only about 15 billion, well, 14.5. But
yeah, it's not particularly much at all. Okay, let's see what a star away from maybe like museums or monuments would do. What would that
do? Decent amount.
What about a star away from museums as well? 1.5 billion now. Snip, snip.
I think it's worth it.
Yeah, snipsty snip. Snip, snip. Right, cool. What about foreign aid?
Yes. Where would that be?
Although morally we want to keep that going because that will help our position. Actually, maybe no, keep that actually because we spend a decent amount anyway, and that will help us with our negotiations in the future. What else can we make some cuts? We could lower the pension, although that might piss off your voters.
Yeah, that's probably a day in this game. Changing the pension age.
Your Secretary of State for Culture wants to resign.
Is suicide in this game essentially. You don't want to do it.
Yeah. One thing I always did do was increase the audiovisual tax, which is basically the TV license. I found that would gain a few billion, and that wouldn't make a huge dent in anything really. You'd have a few. If we want to piss off the TV people, let's have a look at that in taxation.
Yeah, where would this be?
Taxation, that will be under.
Taxation. Yes.
Yeah, audiovisual tax.
Right.
There it is. Maybe increase it to say 145. Increase it to say 180 or something. What would that do? See, look, there's a bit of money there.
175 is about 1.8 billion.
Would that get through Parliament?
Should we try? See what it would do?
Yeah. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gets through. Lovely. That's another 1.5 billion made up there without having any real effect on consumption any at all. We don't want to tax the big ones. We don't want to touch them because, frankly, it's going to harm all the progress we're making at the moment with the export deals and things. This is the big one. So this is the EU Stability Pact, and what that is it's an agreement by the European Union to set a lower limit or an upper limit if you're talking about a deficit. If you're talking about in purely positive terms, that basically sets a limit for basically a ceiling for how high budget deficits can get for member states.
Yeah.
So obviously a budget deficit is where the government spends more than it brings in tax revenue, and we have one. Most European countries have one. Most Western nations have one. It's pretty common these days. What did I get set for in the end? 3.15. Not much, but okay, that's it's in the right direction. We can get that further through successive meetings, and basically it's measured against how big your economy is, so GDP, of course. And if, for example, so now we're at 3.15% of GDP at the Stability Pact rate. So if we were past that, technically we could be fined and sanctioned by the European Union, and ultimately kicked out.
Yes.
That's probably not going to happen straight away because there's a limit to how long you can do it for. You're allowed to negate over it for a certain amount of time, and also we're not going to be the only nation that's got a large budget deficit. It's pretty common for most economies in the EU at the moment and Western economies because of the situation we're under, where we've got to try and stimulate some demand. So that's interesting, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get that budget deficit stability pact back up and our deficit down so we can try and get back within the rules. Running at a deficit isn't always a bad issue. It's just making sure it's not too excessive like ours is right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, having a deficit is not necessarily a bad thing as long as it's sort of a sustainable rate. And as you said, This is what the Stability Pact tries to achieve. As you can see, our deficit is around 4.9%, and it's continuously decreasing. The trend's negative, so this is a good thing. I don't think we'll have any problems with achieving that target.
No.
We've also got a meeting with the Japanese Prime Minister, so we can
Shinzo Abe or Watabe Shingo in this game.
Yeah. We will obviously butter him up with some
very kind,
lovely,
give a coffee.
And then we will offer a sales contract.
Yeah, let's sell a bit more of our housing industry off, or the NHS. Either one, both works.
I think one might pass through the House of Commons more quickly than the other. I'm going to be honest.
That's true. I don't think we can have to pass in this game. Right. Well, that's quite a good price. We can whack that up. Maybe charge above that. So if you put the sales price at say maybe go up a bit more.
147.
That gives you a bit more leeway. Yeah, that's good. Right. Now let's put the housing one. How much do we want to sell off? About the same we sold to the US. We could do double that if you like. It's honestly not an issue.
Yeah,
it won't impact on because we're selling at a high price. Make sure you put the number of years down to 1. Yeah.
Well, 1 or 2?
Yeah, one.
Oh, well, I see. Inflation
you get paid much more quickly then. Yeah, inflation, you also get paid much more quicker as well. Okay, try that. what they say. They probably want more than that, to be honest with you, but yeah, of course they do. Right, we'll get that back down to 25,000, and also that price was 147. So let's go one below that.
42.
There you go, 142. See what it says to that.
Okay.
Yeah, good. We can just it's just a count again, a ping pong now, really. So it was 140. So if we get up to 138, yep.
Okay.
And then maybe whack it up one more. No, otherwise I think they'll cancel out. So that's good. That's about what they pay, and that's much higher than this. Oh, he's really going for it, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, 25. We'll accept that. That's still much higher than we would. That's good. That's not bad. So there we go. That's 24 billion quid made in the coffers there in an export deal. That's going to really help with our growth and exports, and also, of course, our unemployment rate. The only trouble is an export, so we might see a bit of an exchange rate appreciation there, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yes, yeah. I mean, actually, we haven't really talked too much about exchange rates. But yeah, at the moment, I think in this game the pound is fairly strong, which is good for importing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily so good
with
for
the low interest rates. It might go down, but we'll see. That might balance out possibly with the lower interest rate, but also the heavy exports. Now, the UK isn't really a massive export-based economy. It does mostly exports and services rather than goods. So what we're doing is a bit unorthodox here, but it's very difficult to make trade deals for services in this game, which has always been my one criticism of it. In that it's very difficult to. I mean, trade in non-visible trade, so services, is difficult to measure anyway. But in this game, it's virtually impossible to do trade agreements through services rather than goods. Nope. So let's see where our unemployment's at now. Let's have a look at the macro figures.
Yes.
Okay, it might take a little bit of a time to go down, but that unemployment's gone down a tiny bit more. That's good.
Yeah, I'd say probably wait till March,
a little bit, yeah.
and then
we'll see. Fast forward to the end of the month and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think if we can get that down to sort of like the 7% mark, that'd be quite. Ooh,
why
we've got a
people
strike.
unhappy?
That'll probably be because of that.
Oh, the kind of culture. Okay.
Just leave them. There's only a one-day strike. Doesn't matter. Leave them. It disappear after a few days.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
But yes, I think we're on our way to achieving our aim. I think what should we aim to get unemployment back to the Nairo 4%?
Yes. The Nairo was brilliant. Yeah, it wasn't as successful, was it? You're going to die down in the next day or two. Give it another day, probably it'll go away. Let's hope.
Hopefully.
Please.
I've got a track record of getting kicked. Okay, go on.
There we go. Lovely. Fantastic. Yeah, goodbye. Right. You've got a positive for your public, your public finances. Quite good. Yeah, good. So that means that's part. So that means that's a bit of money in the coffers there. Okay. What's our? Oh dear.
Okay.
That's not good.
Cold spell. Okay, we can deal with that.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, they'll keep on striking now and then. Oh well, it's only art and culture.
Yeah.
Just throw some paintbrushes at us. It's fine.
But yeah, no, I mean, we don't necessarily agree with austerity cuts, but
no, of course not.
In this game, you're sort of forced to, otherwise you just get kicked from the EU. And
whether it's personal problems or
yeah, goodbye. Yeah, so we'll wait to the end of the month, see what impacts then trade deals and the extra little kicks up the backside for the employment things. Let's see if that had any impact at all. I'm sure it will have had a bit of impact. We can.
Yes. Sure.
There's more room for manoeuvre if needed. Let's see how that cold spell's going, by the way. Check that quickly. Make sure it's not killed too many people off.
Oh.
83 people have died. Jesus.
Okay.
I wouldn't send the age yet. Wait till we know how much it costs.
Okay.
They'll tell you once the cold spell's over. There we go.
The population affected by the disease.
What does it say at the top?
1.74 billion.
Precarious situation.
So that's wiped out all our culture, essentially. Yeah, savings.
And even everything. And
well, that's why we.
The state.
Okay. So this is an unique situation. We do anything.
Tell me, what budget do you allocate to compensate victims?
Right. Okay.
Cool. Right, thank God for that. Okay, now this is an issue in the game because basically, if you don't compensate the full amount, so 1.74 billion there, so 1,740 million, you're going to get a bit of backlash, and they'll keep coming back to you for more and more money. It's a longer process. Honestly, unless it's monumentous, the best thing is to just pay it. It is 1.7 billion, and that's basically all the savings we've made in culture. So unfortunately, that money's now down the drain, but we have made some other savings elsewhere, and we can possibly make that up. That's more. No, Martin, is in millions. Were you trying to give the whole state away then? Jeez.
Yeah, I forgot it was in millions.
Yes, so we'll pay that off. There we go. So unfortunately, we have to make some savings accounting to that. Otherwise, we're going to end up 83 dead.
It'll be a bit like the South African president, when he was like a million and a million.
Jacob Zuma. Yes. 1,246,000. 4,320, 200. Right, let's try and make that 1.74 billion up somewhere else, because otherwise we're making no progress.
Yeah.
What about we're gonna have to dent into healthcare again or something, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Excellent. We've compensated all them.
We don't want to touch education because obviously we don't want to hurt the future prospects of our young workers.
The baby children.
Of the baby Jesus. So let's go into health.
Cut some more doctors. What about coverage for work accidents? No one cares about them.
I mean, people do care about them. I'm sure people in the comments will disagree.
In this game, we don't.
I mean, save our money.
Let's do it. Snippy snip, cut.
Well, I'm anticipating a massive strike.
Put an extra 1,000 or 2 doctors in there.
Yeah, sweet enough.
Yeah, like that. That'll do. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, good, fantastic, lovely. Let's play. We've made some money.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
We're not going to keep making too many cuts because, oh God, what does he want?
It's the Prime Minister of Estonia.
No, what is the man from the alt? Boost. You like the policy?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh no.
What are they protesting about? Decline of culture.
Oh, do you know what? Police, get them in there. Just arrest them.
Yeah.
They keep doing this.
It's not that deep.
Had enough of them.
It's like we cut like 1 star or like a bit of quality.
No, they literally took down like a plaque off the Tate Modern and now they're kicking off. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Half the stuff in there doesn't look any good anyway. I mean, come on.
Yeah, in the Tate Modern, I disagree if it was the Tate Britain, but the Tate Modern, yeah, half it is not of the greatest quality. Excellent, good. He's under lock and key, so he should be. Yep, good. They put away them, so that'll disappear in a minute, hopefully. Yeah, goodbye. Hopefully. The popularity take a bit of a hit there, Martin. Yeah, I mean, I'm an expert in achieving 0% popularity, so it's all good. So you're doing quite well at the moment compared to what you're normally at. Yeah. That'll go away after a minute. That'll go for a while. Refuse. Yes, yeah. I think obviously we could invest in. I'm just thinking, what sort of infrastructure project? I mean, we have already high-speed rail sort of through here. Yeah, high-speed rail, roads, housing, nuclear energy. There's plenty of options. We've got options available. Research, schools, hospitals. There's loads of stuff we can do. We could build at Kerm either Boris International Airport or the Boris Borough. Let's build the Boris Borough. High-speed. War. I mean, what an infrastructure project that is. So let's have a look at the macro figures now. We're at the end of the month. Okay. No, get out. Right, let's have a look. We don't want any more ministers. Excellent. For look at that, unemployment's fallen down from what was it, like 8% to 7.4. So in the space of less than 2 months, we've made 0.5% off unemployment. That's pretty good. That trend will be it won't be a problem. Look at that growth rate now. We are now growing in real terms, everyone. I mean, it's very, very good. Obviously we've got to keep an eye on this inflation figure because we don't want it to drop too much. Because with that growth figure, it should be pretty good now. Yeah, but obviously we want to keep inflation around here because obviously, as you guys probably know, or maybe you don't know, if inflation drops too low, then this has an adverse effect on consumption because people sort of delay their deflationary trap. Yeah, so we don't want this to be negative, essentially. We want to keep it sort of in the positive. Oh, on a positive note, funnily enough, on that tab it just there, it did just say, I remember seeing our debt to GDP ratio has fallen from 91 to 90, and that's because of our growing economy and also our falling projected budget deficits. That's good. That's a good spot. I did not even notice that. That is very, very good. So that unemployment is going to come down, I think, more. If we left it towards sort of like March, April, that would come down to more the 7% mark. So we've made a good. That's good. That's very good, considering we were nearly at 8.5% or 9% of whatever it was when we were starting the game. We've already done very well. Yeah, we've made a
It's,
very
it's
good
not going
start.
to be a simple thing that takes returns in 2 months. This will be something we have to keep coming back to over a year or
Good
two
morning.
to get the economy firing on all cylinders again.
Yeah, it's a long
Let's
term
have a look at a
project.
European country. How's France doing? Let's have a look at our growth rates and figures compared to theirs. Let's see if we're doing any better
Right,
than the
France.
Frenchies.
There we go. Right.
Whoa. So look at that. Growth, they're barely growing, 0.01%.
Yeah.
Compared to our 1.5%. Unemployment for them is over 10% now. Geez. Compared to 7.4. So already, the only one we are losing the battle in is the national deficit.
Yeah.
But that's coming down. Stronger currency, less debts, better inflation, better growth, low unemployment. We are hitting all the right boxes, ladies and gentlemen. And that deficit is going to come down, so that's good.
Yes, and this is why we are obviously qualified economists.
Of course, in training.
In training, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I think it's been productive. I think we've done well today. I think we've stepped in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, I think we will sim it. I'm just seeing how long we've been going for. A decent amount of time. We'll probably let it sim till the middle of the month, and then we'll call it a day here. So I think we've done a fair amount.
Yep. Oh, the Nauru.
Yes. Yes, you need to explain it.
Yes. Oh, you can keep playing. It's fine. I'll explain it whilst playing along. So, in economics, something called the Phillips curve predicts this sort of relationship between wages, wage inflation, and unemployment. And employment, of course, if inflation is increasing, it predicts that unemployment should fall. That's that relationship. It also has a positive outlook between inflation and outputs. If prices are rising, naturally, you'd expect output to also rise as well. There's a positive correlation. Now, the Nauru is what's called the non-accelerating inflation rate of unemployment. That's what it stands for. We just abbreviate it to Nauru because we're lazy. And what it is it's a certain amount of unemployment, so around the 4 or 5% mark in the UK, roughly, at which we don't see any accelerating inflationary effects, at which you can argue the economy is in some form of actual equilibrium. And we're roughly at what's called YFE. We're at full employment. The economy is at full output with no excess pressure left or right of that AD curve, if you like, that long run aggregate supply curve as well. So the Nauru is the point where we want to get to, where we're happy, because at the moment we've actually got what's called a negative output gap. Our unemployment or our output is far too high, our output is too low compared to what we should be given the UK's factors of production, which is why the UK recovered fairly quickly from the 2008-9 financial crash. Now, that's not good. We'll have to deal with that in the next episode. But yes, so basically, if we can get it back down to that level, what that should mean is we don't have an extra inflationary pressure because we aren't going beyond our economy's means. We aren't going beyond our output means. And so that's what we're trying to return to. And we'll know we've done that when we hit that sort of unemployment mark and it doesn't go down much further. And there's, of course, no inflationary pressure. That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, very comprehensive explanation of the Nauru there. Yes, I mean, I know we said at the beginning of the episode we would try to get 4%, but this is going to take much longer than anticipated. Like in real life, obviously, a lot of fiscal policy changes will take a lot of time to trickle down, 18 months to 2 years. It doesn't quite take as long in the game, but we'll probably have to wait a couple of episodes to see the results of this. But we'll sort of leave it around here. As you can see, as Dan pointed out, we've achieved some very, very good figures very quickly. National deficit down to 2.5%. Yeah, growth,
it's going up further. 1.6 now. Unemployment's gone down by about 0.6 as well. That's good.
What would you say our target? Obviously, because we want sustainable, moderate growth. What should we aim for just before we leave
around the
off?
2 to 3% mark.
Yeah,
is good. If we can get 3%, that's fantastic. If we can get anything more than 2, that's good. I mean, 2% in the 90s was considered boom. So if we can get that consistently, not just 1 year, but year after year, then we're doing well. We're going to be growing faster than most of the EU economies, certainly. For a more developed economy like the UK, 2 to 3% is perfect. Doesn't mean there's much inflationary pressure as well.
Yes, that's a good point. And actually, we will, I think, talk a little bit more about inflation in the next episode here. We'll go more in depth about inflationary pressure and pricing and all that. This one's just sort of been a run through because I know we've sort of tried to cram 2 episodes load of content into one because of, as Dan points out, my incompetence. So we hope you've enjoyed the episode. That it's been instructive, informative, and that we haven't dragged on too long and bored whoever's still watching this to death. Dan, as always, thank you very much for joining me.
You are most welcome.
And as always, guys, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.
Have a good weekend if you're watching.
Bye bye.